obi biara aha obi biara adwo baby biara obi ehwe yen efri baby biara nso obi atie yen efri team legal wives and husbands ana ene nchebi ana enkran ye press conference ana ene day enso so Ashanti region Kumasi enso ene yenso ye press conference it is a moti yenka na enye basabasayo nanso asumdue kasa enkomo na yebedi akire Ghana man Asante man ene emu mpanimfo omowo oman mu na yesrese ombetie yen ye kasa ye ba beka na omadi so aye ho adwuma edi aboa ye enti si yehyiamu anoma na ye team legal wives and husbands ye support ye maame Akosua Serwaa Fosuah enunti na yehyiamu aha na se mohwe yenso a yehyiamu aha noma na ye papa ye nua bema yade nyina ye wofa Mr. Charles Kojo Fosuah dodo na frɛ no Daddy Lumba na busuafo nimpon enso eka ye ho ana omoni yen ahyia wa ha ye ba be ye press conference na mesre na makasa se yebeyi ye ho akyre yen a yete high table yebeyi ye ho akyre se ne ebeya wona wo hwe ye ne wona wo tie ye no oma adwene mu ne oma asomu nya omo ntanta na umbehunu ye a yisia na false messages na ya amanfo no mu bidie kɔ umbehunu no kore na enkoye nchechiremu bebiri mi a me kasai ye from Yimano the drafter J oko app no so a ye from Nana Gomez Guda me pe ana mesaya ma team legal wives me ye ohene benkum hene ni fa hene ayemfu ni nyina bi ewo team legal wives na misai wo obatiwa Vim Power lady Vim Power House ana misai ana Queen Emma enso so a platform so me ni fa hene ewo eho no na sanye yen kasa nhye obi ano no mesre se free mensa benkum so urban ye maami otio nso be kire ne ho na odi aba maami tino
with the Mr. Money Kasa me wo ha within the Nanefia ye Charles Kojo Fosuah nti na maba sense say bia wo ban si bia na mo pampi ti bia
me damo asi bebre me pacho me so me wo he ye frɛ me anaboaten over media ne so me si so anase an baby me so Queen Emma platform so eho na me pie Emma Queen Emma eho na me represent inti muhuma ha me team legal wives and husband eno enti na ye wa ha say me damase
I'm sure me so your friend Charity Nana Serwaa Fosuah Charity Nana Serwaa Fosuah damase
and you know so your friend Mela Akaka a young man of Fansona a Charles Kojo Fosuah
enti abusiafo ya kire ye ho awie na chese ye be hye dwumadie no ase enima yese abetie wo hoi yedi ne hyew ana se enam bia mintimi emmoso din yedi ne hyew enti ye be ma ye maame eye Nana Serwaa Fosuah ona ebe hye ye press conference no ye kasa ye ase nti e was so good nti ma brand say that Yeah, not yes, you change your phone and shit. Why?
Okay. What shall we start with?
If I'm on it. Sorry.
Okay. Introduction and salutation. First of all, introduction and salutations for media release. We are Team Legal Wives and Husbands. Justice is not for sale. A collation of ordinary Ghanaians, professionals, parents, and citizens. Under we shared belief in justice, accountability, and the unvarying scarcity of truth. We stand before
Lighten it up.
yeah, lightning again.
A dim. More light.
We stand before you.
No, you can't be.
Yeah, just stand.
Yeah, bro, for you, any IEP. So I know. Why? A man, how? A bro, for a crack at you and the quetch. Who can you hear him? Me boy.
We stand before you as a collective voice of conscience, compelled by a profound sense of duty to our nation, its laws, and people. We are not politicians. We are not litigants. In the case we will discuss today, but we are parents of principle, standing in the gap where injustice has been
Taking root.
taken root. I'm trying to say. Okay. We extend our profound gratitude to you, the members of the Fourth Estate, the media. Your presence here is not merely noted, it is essential in a climate where narratives can be manipulated and the truth buried. Your role as watchmen, investigators, and impartial communicators of the public is the bedrock of an accountable society. We trust you carry this fact we present today with accuracy and courage. We also acknowledge and speak directly to people of Ghana from every region and every walk of life. We speak to silent majority who believe in fairness, who respect the institution of marriage, and who expect the court to be temple of justice, not arenas of manipulations. Furthermore, we recognize our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who love Ghana is unwavering, whose remittance build our economy, and whose trust in the security of their legacy back home is currently under severe threat. We have convened this press conference because what you will hear is more than a family dispute. It is a case study in the procedural magnificence, evidential disregard, and apparent bias within a court of law can conspire to strip a lawful wife of their dignity, her right, and her legacy. We are here to present documented fact, expose glaring contradictions, and issue a clear call of systematic integrity. The case of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah versus a system that has failed her is a litmus test for the very soul of our nation justice system. We therefore ask of your attention, your document, your discernment, and your solidarity. Thank you. Who is Mr. Charles Serwaa Fosuah? All right. Who is Mr. Charles Serwaa Fosuah? Daddy Lumba. To understand the kind of injustice at hand, one must first understand the man at the center of it and the woman who stood beside him, building the very legacy now in dispute. Mr. Charles Serwaa Fosuah, the musical titan known to the world as Daddy Lumba, was not a self-made island. His ascent from a talented young man in Insuta, Ashanti region, to the Ghanaian German high life legend was inextricably linked to the partnership, sacrifice, and foundational support of his wife, his legal wife, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa. The couple first married customary in Ghana in 1991 Kumasi Bomso. Later on, December 23, 2004, they solemnized their union under German law at a civil marriage registry in Bochum, Germany. This civil marriage created a monogamous, legally binding covenant recognized internationally. For over 2 decades following their customary marriage, Akosua Serwaa was the publicly acknowledged wife managing the home and family as Charles' career soared. Born on September 29, 1964, Mr. Charles Serwaa Fosuah's musical journey began in Ghana. However, the pivotal leap to an international career, a move that would define a Burger life era, occurred when he moved to Germany in the 1980s. This relocation was a foundational moment, and it was facilitated by personal connections. Indeed, it was upon meeting and uniting with Akosua Serwaa that Daddy Lumba's professional path was solidified and his most enduring legacy was forged. The documented professional partnership between Charles and Akosua began at the very dawn of his saddle, after forming the famous duo, the Lumba Brothers, in 1988 with Nane Champon in Germany, with their crucial debut studio album being Yeye Aka Kwentu, which was produced by Daddy Lumba's wife, Akosua Serwaa, in their studio house. The duo became a major success and helped popularize the Burger high life genre. It is not a minor footnote, it is a critical fact. Their marriage was so fruitful that they decided to dedicate 6 months to producing the music in Germany, followed by another 6 months in Ghana to promote it. This was a frequent occurrence with mutual understanding. In 1993, whilst promoting the album Eyesikasem, Daddy Lumba continued his betrayal of multiple affairs while staying in Achimota. Daddy Lumba ended up impregnating the daughter of the man who hosted them, Mr. Ahime. It is truly heartbreaking and interesting to note Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah's first son, Kevin, is only 3 months older than the other sibling, Dennis. Lumba, unfaithful habits, continued with another affairs in Germany with another lady, Georgina. having a son, Derek, for him. This was a blow to Mrs. Akosua Serwaa, as this happened to be her friend and child mother of their children. In the face of betrayal, she diligently loved her husband, covering his multiple sins. He managed all the bills for her family as Daddy Lumba continued with his music career. She had to work 8 hours to defray a mortgage on their home, while simultaneously nursing their last child and taking care of 2 older children single-handedly. This was not the life of someone alienated or absent as being told in the media. This was the life of a spouse holding the fort, ensuring stability and protecting the family's access their home through her own labor. The assets themselves tell a story of joint enterprise. The narrative and court documents reference properties that are central to this case. The house at Tantra Hills, Domi, East Legon, with others including businesses. It is stated that these were built by Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah and her husband. She was not a beneficiary of wealth created apart from her. She was a co-coordinator of that wealth. Their matrimonial home was a joint project. Sadly, in 2012, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah experienced the loss of her sister, prompting her return to Ghana for the funeral, which she attended alongside Daddy Lumba. During the time his wife was aware of his frequent complaints of back pains. After returning to Germany later that year, they began necessary arrangements for his health and later surgery. Prior to procedure, he mentioned to his wife the urgent need to return to Ghana quickly and back in time for the scheduled surgery in Germany for their matrimonial abode. However, when he landed in Ghana, to her shock, he informed her of the real reason why he left to Ghana, which was that he feared to undergo the surgery in Germany as he didn't trust the healthcare providers. She questioned and was upset his decision as that was not planned nor discussion. However, he had made his ultimate choice as an adult. After the shock of his unplanned decision to remain Ghana, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah had no choice than to remain in Germany with her minor children and fend for them. As a mother of 3, she had no option but to stand strong and face her new challenge of being the sole breadwinner of her home. Riddled with the burden of responsibilities, the mortgage and many financial commitments, clearly she was, into brackets, abandoned in block letters. Even during this abandonment, she still kept in constant communication and help towards her husband. Testimonies of the court documents reveals that it was the plaintiff, Akosua, who bought medication for her deceased husband. This case was so significant that the deceased himself confirmed in the video widely the video circulated on all social media platforms during his 60th birthday celebration. He also clarified false narrative which was in circulation that she had poisoned her husband, hence he has hard health. How could she have poisoned when she lived miles away abroad? Her support was financial, medical, and safest always. Charles Serwaa Fosuah, aka Daddy Lumba, was a brilliant artist, no doubt, a musical legend, but his personal and marital woes living silently in the shadow of his outward success. Fundamentally, it is right to say Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah was the very beacon of his success. Like the saying goes, behind every successful woman, there is a woman. Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah was simply that. She was his producer, financier, stabilizer, nurse, protector of his brand, and to investor and co-investor. To sever her from his legacy is not only a personal wrong, but a factual ensure of the very foundation upon which the legend of Daddy Lumba was built. He acknowledged her very raw and incomparable presence in her life by praising her effort towards her effort towards him in many of his songs, one being Nti Sɛ Adeɛ Ankye Me A. Her contributions are documented in her official biography, in the financial realities she managed, and in the numerous properties they built together, which has all now become a bone of contention. Any honest account of who is Daddy Lumba? Who is Daddy Lumba? Must unequivocally answer, he was a man whose genius was unable and sustainable by his wife, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah, forever 30 years. Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah is now a venture where many of Priscilla's family members are currently working. This represents a wholesale diversion of legacy and income streams for the legitimate family of Priscilla Ofori. Second, the manipulation of funeral rites and finances. Following Daddy Lumba's death, Priscilla Ofori and his appointed family head, Kofi Usu, allegedly orchestrated funeral preparation that excluded the rightful widow and children. This necessitated a court injunction. The court's ruling of December 12, 2015 revealed the 7 facts. it found it necessary to order that the first respondents separate fund raised for funerals from the account of Daddy Lumba's Memorial Foundation, LBG. This implies a commingling of charitable memorial fund with funeral finances, a serious lack of transparency. The entire funeral was being orchestrated to present Priscilla as the sole widow, a public erasure of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah, until the court forcibly intervened to mandate a planning meeting that included the actual widow and children. Third, the obstruction of justice and mourning. The circumstances surrounding Daddy Lumba's death are surrounded in action that prevented accountability and closure of this legal family. The body was allegedly moved from the home without police notification. The family was denied access to the body, and their request for an autopsy was blocked for the nearly 8 months. While these actions may involve other actors, they created an environment where Priscilla Ofori was positioned as the sole gatekeeper of the deceased, intensifying the grief and powerlessness of his lawful wife and children. Fourth, the perpetuation of a false narrative. Beyond the legal and marital harm, Priscilla Ofori and her associates have been instrumental in perpetuating a false public narrative. This includes the propagation of the claim that Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah abandoned her husband 17 years ago, a claim definitely disproven by evidence of visits mentioned earlier and ongoing support, including the purchase of the medication. By positioning herself as a sole caring companion during his illness, she has clinically manipulated public sympathy to legitimize her claims and validate those of the true wife. For clarity of doubt, in 2011, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah's children came to Ghana for summer holiday. We asked where was Priscilla. Subsequently, she was also in Ghana 2012. Where was Priscilla again? You see, whilst creating lies, the trail of proof is evident and was have these proofs, such as a visa tie stamped to Ghana and communication with her husband. It is important to the public to understand and debunk false claims that Priscilla Ofori nursed him in sickness for over 10 years, as she claims, citing he was bed-bound and immobile for that lengthy period. However, it is interesting that before his surgery for his spine in 2013, Daddy Lumba was already involved with Priscilla because her first child with him was born in December 2011. During this so-called prolonged period of immobility, she bore 6 kids with the man.
Thank you very much. Abusuafo, I'm say Biana Yedrum. A drew Bia me na metwaso. The change of setting. Senior. Di kan. Anna ye maame nso nsɛm kan ya ɔkan no ɔma yɛ introduction ana ɔkan ye nua bɛrima
Chachonaroba. I think it's a long friends stress relief. My key point in my
okay me pacho matemasi na ye me pese ye kind of brofo ni wi a na ye dia bachi ni summarize ye wo nananom nso dia ye pese ye bɔ ne tofa edema enti me pese good okay good Matia enti abusiafo we are here to go why okay. I think I'll go by the history of court cases, accusations, injunction, and the anatomy of injustice. The legal battle to affirm the marital right of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa is a chronicle of how procedural hurdles, evidential double standards, and a final ruling that defies logic have been used to sanction a grave injustice. Every step from filing to judgment reveals a system failing to protect a lawful wife. The initial action, a plea for recognition, the legal journey began on October 1st, 2025, when lawyers for Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah filed a writ of summons and statement of claim at the High Court in Kumasi, suit number JJ 12/20/2026. Her legal team, led by lawyer William Kusi Esquire of Dominion Chambers, with Evans Opon Adoma Esquire and Henry Benjamin Atabedu Esquire, sought clear declaratory relief against three defendants. One, Abusuapanyini Kofi Owusu Ebuakwa family head, Priscilla Ofori, aka Odobroni, Transition Funeral Home, aka Enterprise Funeral Service. The claims were straightforward, grounded in her 1991 customary and 2004 German civil marriage. A declaration that she was the only surviving spouse. B, a declaration that only she had the right to perform widowhood right. C, an order restraining the family head from dealing with Priscilla Ofori as a spouse. D, an order restraining Priscilla Ofori from parading as the surviving spouse. The defendants, through their lawyers, opposed entirely. Priscilla Ofori, through her lawyer A.K. Osei Owusu Esquire, with Kwesi Mensah Nyako Esquire, even filed a counterclaim asserting she was the validly customary married wife since 2010. The family head, Kofi Owusu, represented by Fati Ali Yala Esquire, brief held by Dominic Kwejo Osei Esquire, with Al Alassa Hudi Esquire, supported to narrate, alleging Mrs. Fosuah had abandoned her husband and presented dissolution drinks years prior. The injunction A, temporarily beacon of due process, as the defendant rushed to bury Daddy Lumba on December 13, 2025, without involving Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah and her children. An urgent intervention was needed. The maternal family, including the deceased sister Ernestina Fosuah, filed for an interlocutory injunction. This was heard on December 12, 2025, before His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Kofi Diaba in the Accra High Court. Suit number GJ 0205/2026. The plaintiff's lawyer, Thomas Tinkran Ishon Esquire, with George Agbeko Esquire and Elizabeth Lamte Esquire, successfully argued for a halt to the exclusionary funeral plan. Justice Diaba ruled was a demand. Justice Diaba's rule was a damning indictment of the defendant's conduct. 1. He restrained Mr. Kofi Owusu from organizing the burial. 2. He restrained Transition Funeral Home from releasing the body. 3. He ordered Kofi Owusu to convene a meeting within 3 weeks that must include the applicant's spouses and children of the deceased to plan a proper funeral. Critically, he ordered the separation of funeral funds from the Daddy Lumba Memorial Foundation LBG account, highlighting grave concerns over financial coming. This injunction, issued by Registrar Doris Danswa, was a clear judicial recognition that due process and the rights of the immediate family were being trampled. It was a fleeting victory for transparency. The Justice Dorinda judgment, a masterclass in evidential asymmetry. A few weeks prior, the substantive case was heard before Her Ladyship Justice Dorinda Smith-Atta at the Kumasi High Court. The judge delivered on November 28, 2025, and bearing the case tag TLP/HC/2025/04, became the instrument of injustice. The core of the injustice lies in the judge's radically different treatment of evidence from the two sides. 1. The dismissal of the German marriage, which is the one that the plaintiff showed up. Justice Atta rejected the German marriage certificate provided by Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah. Her reason, as detailed in the judgment, exposes a refusal to engage with the evidence properly. She stated the document needed authentication under Section 161 of the Evidence Act, requiring certification by the German authorities and then by the Ghana diplomatic mission. However, she then admitted that the plaintiff counsel argued there were practical hardships in meeting these demands on time. Instead of using the court's authority to facilitate this process, she required verification via mutual legal counsels or even accept the document conditionally pending authentication. She simply rejected them. She fixed on the absence of spousal signatures on the German certificate, using this to question its validity, while acknowledging she is not a signature expert. She failed to ascertain through proper inquiry a basic judicial duty that German civil marriage certificates do not typically bear the spouses' signatures, and fact that could have been easily verified. She dismissed photographs of the signing ceremony and letter from the German embassy. Most in the Kumasi High Court judge, her leadership during the Atta Smith, she did not order a forensic audit or seek official verification from Germany. She used a procedural bar to exclude the central piece of evidence, declaring Exhibit B, B1, and C as having to probative value. Secondly, the acceptance of the customary marriage claim, the second defendant evidence, is sharp contrast. Justice Atta accepted Priscilla Ofori's claim of a 2010 customary marriage based on evidence that would not survive the slightest scrutiny if the same standard was applied. The primary witness was James Beniako Boateng, which is the DW1, Priscilla Ofori's brother-in-law. He testified to attending a marriage ceremony at Tantra Hill in April 2010. No marriage certificate, no independent witness from the groom's family who attended this alleged ceremony. No photograph evidence. No photograph evidence of the event itself was required. The court accepted the single interested testimony of the relative. This acceptance flies in the face of Priscilla Ofori's own sworn declaration to other official bodies. Her 2025 British visa application and company registration, where she consistently declared her marital status as single. The court did not reconcile this irreconcilable contradiction. A person claiming to be a wife since 2010 does not declare herself single in 2025. The court also accepted evidence of public cohabitation and children as proof of a customary marriage, while dismissing the significance of the plaintiff's children and decades of prior marriage. The outcome and the lawyers. In this environment of asymmetric scrutiny, Justice Dorinda Smith-Atta ruled that 1. The plaintiff's German marriage could not be proven. 2. Both women were customary married to the deceased, which is the plaintiff in 1991 and the second defendant in 2010. Therefore, both were surviving spouses. The legal representatives for the third defendant, which is the funeral home where Ebenezer Eje Bediakon Esquire with Edward Omane Esquire. The irony of the injunction lapses. Adding insult to injury, the injunction granted by Justice Diaba that very day, which had forced the inclusions of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah, was lifted within an hour on December 12, 2025, because the applicants could not meet the exhibitants, which is the 20 million Ghana cedis in our old currency is 20 billion. Deposit imposed as a condition. This allowed the very funeral planning to resume, proving that justice often has a price too high for ordinary families to pay. In summary, the history of these cases reveals a devastating pattern. A lawful wife's document evidence was dismissed on hyper-technical grounds without judicial effort to verify it, while the contradictory undocumented claims of another were accepted based on the timeliness, most self-serving testimony. The lawyers for Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah performed their duty by they argued before a court that applied two different standards of proof. The names Justice Dorinda Smith-Atta and Justice Emmanuel Kofi Diaba are now entirely linked to this case. One for upholding due process, and the other for presiding over a final judgment that has become a benchmark for judicial failure and injustice. Therefore, to continue with the justice denied, legality and inheritance fraud, the judgment delivered by Her Ladyship Justice Dorinda Smith-Atta in the case of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah versus Abusuapanyin Kofi Owusu and us is not merely a legal ruling. It is a formal blueprint for injustice. It satisfies through a video of judicial procedure, a comprehensive campaign of inheritance fraud, and the denial of fundamental legal rights. Let us desist how the court's own actions facilitated this fraud by violating core principles of legality and evidence. The abrogation of legal duty, the German marriage certificate, the most glaring denial of justice lies in the court's handling of the plaintiff's German civil marriage certificate. The judge identified a procedural requirement, authentication under Section 161 of Ghana's Evidence Act, and used it not as a gateway to truth, but as a barricade against it. Failure to inquire, the judge acknowledged the plaintiff's difficulty in obtaining the required diplomatic certification on time. A court dedicated to justice has tools at its disposal. It could have adjourned to allow the proper authentication, issue a request for international judicial assistance, or subpoena the German embassy in Accra for clarification on the document format. Justice Atta did none of these. She performed a passive technical rejection, misapplication of fact. The judge fixed on the absence of exposure signatures on the document, implying forgery. However, she admitted she is not a signature expert and made no effort to ascertain the standard form of a German marriage certificate. Had she done her duty to the truth, she would have discovered that such certificates are issued by the registry official and do not typically contain the spouse's signatures. Her ruling was based on an ignorant assumption about foreign documents. Evidential burden. By dismissing the certificate on these grounds while accepting uncertified videos, photographs, and the uncontrollable oral testimony of an interested party, which is Priscilla Ufori, brother-in-law, as a sufficient proof of a customary marriage. The judge applied two brutally different standards. This is not okay. It is a bias. It is a bias as procedure. The lawful wife's document proof was subjected to an impossible standard, while the claimant's undocumented assertion was accepted on the lowest possible threshold. 2. Sanctioning document fraud and perjury. The court's ruling effectively rewards the legitimate documentable falsehood. The single versus marriage contradiction. Priscilla Ufori owns sworn declaration to the British visa authorities and in a company registration document where lying constitution a criminal offense states she's a single as of 2025. Her claim in court is that she has been married since 2010. Both cannot be true. This is not a minor discrepancy. It is direct, actionable perjury on matters central to the case. Justice Atta's judgment ignores this fact. Justice Atta's judgment ignores this fatal contradiction to her credibility. By validating her claim, the court has endorsed a fraudulent declaration to a foreign government. The fraudulent transfer of property. Inheritance fraud occurs when assets are unlawfully diverted from their rightful heirs. The material states that properties in Tantra Hill and Dome were built by Mr. and Mrs. Fosuah. Yet, it is documented that Priscilla Ufori has given away these houses to her brother and his wife and his extended family. The court declaration of her as a surviving spouse provides a fraudulent legal cover for this theft. Let's continue. It transforms criminal misappropriate into a semi-legitimate act of a widow managing marital property. This is the very essence of inheritance fraud, using a false status to justify the looting of another's legacy. The complicity role of officers of the court. The fraud extends beyond the judge's bench. The on-authority lawyer materials raise serious concerns about a lawyer acting on behalf of Daddy Lumba's estate without a verified will or power of attorney from the lawful next of kin. This lawyer allegedly allowed Priscilla family to occupy and rent the Fosuah properties. A lawyer's duty is to uphold the law, not to facilitate the unilateral distribution of a diseased asset against the interest of the legitimate family. This conduct, which should be investigated by the General Legal Counsel, is a professional enabler of the fraud. The financial coming, the injunction ruling by Justice Diaba exposed another layer of potential fraud. The court found it necessary to order the separation of funeral funds from the Daddy Lumba Memorial Foundation LBG account. This indicates that donation from the public given in memory of the icon were potentially being mixed with private funeral or other finances, creating opaque sludge found controlled by those seeking to exclude the lawful family. This is a gross abuse of charitable sentiment and public trust. Obstructions of investigative justice. True justice seeks all facts. The environment created for the lawful family was one of deliberate obstructions, preventing any challenging to the emerging narrative. The body and the autopsy, the lawful wife and children were denied access to Daddy Lumba's body for months. Their requests for an independent autopsy, a standard right to ascertain cause of death, especially given the unclear circumstances, was blocked. Without an autopsy, questions about the sudden death remain unanswered, and a fundamental tool for investigative justice was nullified. The false narrative of abandonment. The court, by focusing on physical separation, allow a defamatory and false narrative to stand that Mrs. Fosuah abandoned her husband. This narrative, crucial to the defendant's case, was disproven by evidence of her financial support, medication purchases, and visits. Yet, by not condemning this falsehood explicitly, the judgment lends it a shadow of legitimacy, further defrauding Mrs. Fosuah of her moral and reputational rights. Justice was not merely denied, it was weaponized to retrace the judgment of Justice Dr. Dorinda Smith-Atta. Legitimized document fraud by ignoring incontrovertible proof of perjury. Sanction indicates sanction inheritance, theft by proving a judicial stamp to the misappropriation of jointly built marital assets, violated evidential fairness by erecting barriers for one side while laying out a welcome mat for the other. Enable financial by failing to condemn the alarming coming of public moral funds. This case is no longer just about the Fosuah family. I repeat it. This case is no longer just about the Fosuah family. It is a precedent. It demonstrates how a corrupt interpretation of procedure, coupled with a refusal to pursue obvious truth, can transform a law of instrument for ratifying fraud. The legality has been twisted to deny justice, and the inheritance has been stolen under the court's solemn seal. This is the ultimate denier. Abusiafo, encheni ediesi. A solemn appeal to conscience and authority. Good. We have laid bare the facts. Okay, we have come. We have laid bare the facts. We have exposed the inconsistency, the procedural injustice, and the devastating consequence of a flawed judgment. Now, he turned from recounting this wrong to demanding its remedy. We appeal not with anger. Therefore, I repeat it. We appeal not with anger, but with a determined call for the restoration of order, of truth, and the rule of law in Ghana. I'm repeating myself. Me say, we appeal not with anger, but with a determined call for the restoration of order and truth and the rule of law in Ghana. To the people of Ghana and the court of public opinion, you are the ultimate guidance of our nation's souls. We appeal to your innate sense of fairness. Look at the evidence presented. A wife of over 30 years, a co-builder of a legacy, has been stripped of her status by a court that rejected a document on technicalities it made no effort to resolve. Look at the claimant who declares herself single to foreign government while claiming to be a wife in our court. This is not a complex legal mystery. It is a clear moral and factual wrong. Okay? This is not a complex legal mystery. It is a clear moral and factual wrong. We ask you to stand with truth, amplifying this story, demanding accountability. Let no one say that Ghanaians stood silent while such an injustice was perpetrated in their name. Abusiafo, we are demanding accountability. Let no one say that Ghanaians stood silent while such an injustice was perpetrated in their name. To the judiciary and the Judicial Council, we appeal for urgent review and introspections. The judgment in Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah versus Abusuapanyini Kofi Owusu and us has shaken public confidence. When a court dismisses a core civil document without exhaustive forensic verification, while accepting contradictory oral claims, it sets a dangerous precedent. We appeal for a scrutiny of this specific judgment and the conduct that led to it. The judiciary must be a fortress of impartiality, not a stage for evidence. Uphold the integrity of your noble institution by ensuring this matter is revisiting with the rigor, fairness, and pursuit of truth that every citizen deserves. To His Excellency the President, the Attorney General, and the Ghana Police Service, we appeal for executive and investigative actions. This case has spiraled beyond a civil dispute into matters demanding criminal investigation. Investigate the circumstance of death, the family's right to an autopsy and transparent inquest into the death of Charles Kwadwo Fosuah has been obstructed. We appeal for state intervention to ensure this occurs. Please, Mr. President, we appeal for state intervention to ensure this occurs. Investigate potential fraud and perjury, the glaring contradiction between Priscilla Ofori's sworn single status on official document and marriage claim in court demands a criminal investigation for potential perjury and fraud on immigration and corporate documents. Investigate the misappropriation of assets and funds, the alleged gifting of the Fosuah marital properties to the family of Priscilla Ofori, and the coming of public funeral donations, as noted by the High Court. Okay, as noted by the High Court, must be investigated as potential thefts and financial malfeasance. Investigate the conduct of the unauthorized lawyer. The Ghana Bar Association must urgently investigate the lawyer who has allegedly assumed control to estate assets without legal authority from the lawful family. Please, Abusiafo, I'm repeating this for the Ghana Bar Association must urgently investigate the lawyer who has allegedly assumed control of estate assets without legal authority from the lawful family. To the chiefs and traditional rulers of Ghana, the traditional rulers of the Ashanti Kingdom, we ask that you use your rights standing in society to bring about justice and fairness as according to tradition. To the diaspora, our family abroad, we make a special appeal to you. You have seen how the lawful wife and a diaspora Ghanaian like many of you has been treated. If her legal marriage can be dismissed, her properties seized, and her rights voided, what security do your investment and legacy back home have? Your remittance contributing billions annually to Ghana's stability are sent with trust. That the trust is broken when the system fails to protect your own. We appeal for your powerful voice. Lend your influence, your networks, and your demand for accountability to this cause. This thing is about the diaspora. Okay? You need to lend your influence, your networks, and your demand for accountability to this cause. Your engagement is crucial. To international observance and the human rights bodies, we appeal for your witness. This is a case study in the deprivation of a woman's right to properly inheritance and fair judicial process Watch this space. Hold Ghana accountable to its own laws and its international commitment to justice and gender equality. Whilst I'm ending my statement, I'm going to the international observers and human rights bodies. We appeal for your witness. This is the case study in the deprivation of a woman's rights to properties, inheritance, and fair judicial process. Watch this space. Hold Ghana accountable to its own laws and its international commitment to justice and gender equality. To end my press statement, our profound appreciation. In this difficult journey, we have not been alone. We concluded not with a note of despair, but with deep and sincere gratitude. We thank the moral and courageous members of the media, here present and abroad. Your dedication to uncovering and reporting the truth is the oxygen of democracy. You have given voice to the voiceless, and for that, we are entirely grateful. We thank the many legal professionals, academics, and civil society advocates who have reviewed this case, offered their counsel, and spoken out privately and publicly against the injustice they see. Your expertise and solidarity fortify our resolve. We thank the maternal family of the late Mr. Kojo Charles Fosuah, especially his sister, Miss Ernestina Fosuah, Mame Akosua Brimpoma, for their courage, instant for truth within fractions family contest, even obtaining a crucial injunction to halt an exclusion, to halt a funeral. I think that one, we have a family member here who acknowledge or tell us something about that. We extend gratitude to the members of the public, both in Ghana and across the globe, who have listened, analyzed, and expressed their support. Your messages, you share outrage, and your prayers have been shelled against diaspora. Finally, we thank Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah and children for their unwavering strength and dignity in the face of a torrent of deception and institutional failure. Your fight is our fight. Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosuah, your fight is our fight. This press conference is not an end. I mean, this press conference that we are doing is not an end. It is a clarion call marking the beginning of a sustained campaign for rectification. We will use very lawful and peaceful means available. We will not rest until the marriage certificate is recognized. The stolen properties are recovered. The body is respectfully laid to rest by his rightful family, and those who have perpetrated this fraud are held to account. The truth crash to earth shall rise again. We stand with truth. Team Legal Wife, we move. Team Legal Wives, we move. Team Legal Wives and Husbands, we move. Thank you very much. Abusanfo, ya kan brofo na se ya mo se ya ti mo ba sire yan ya brofo nya ya kasa na na me ncha de I me pancho maybe if mama mususuma pressure no any too much. Why? Wa we na umre no enso no. O de okwa na do ati agya. Nyame ya adoma obeti yenka. Na mama ya ya ade na mana ye. Mi bejai ama yewo proposal for the chiefs, which is our traditional council. Your best say major ama my sister. Na wakan wi a mesrem na de yakan ni nyina na yebebo ne tofa awotwi kasem ama ye nyina yate enho ase na enche no na yadi jumedie no ayeden abawie mbacha say and you know ba be kind brofo owie a meba be boni nyina yakan ni nyina tofa meba mo chew I brofo ya mompe enso so Kumasi International Airport wa antimisramu ye wia ye babo ne tofa na ye de amamu na bibia awie peye because ye wo high court e wo Kumasi ye wo bi wa Accra ni nyina ye brofo ne ye de ye ka my sister so
Subject humble request for subject humble request for blessing, demanding search for Daddy Lumbe's body. Respected Otunfo Nana Osei Tutu II, we the team legal wives and husbands, together with all supporters and lovers of Daddy Lumba, humbly seek your royal blessing and permission to hold peaceful demonstration in Kumasi. Our other mission is to demand the authorities locate Daddy Lumbe's deceased body within 5 to 10 days, so he may receive proper funeral rites as per our customs. Purpose and details. Cause to call for immediate action to find Daddy Lumbe's body and ensure justice, cultural respect for him and his family. Demonstration will take place in the Kumasi metropolis with a formal petition to be submitted to relevant authorities. Nature: peaceful march with respectful chants, symbolic placards, and adherence to our cultural values of decorum. We assure you our actions will reflect the dignity and expected to those who honor traditional leaders. We would be deeply honored if a representative from the palace could be present as we present our plea for urgent action. May the ancestors guide you and grant us success in finding Daddy Lumbe's funeral. Thank you, Nananom. Thank you, Nana Osei Tutu II. Thank you very much.
Amen. Where my fanachi. Abusafo epepenso na yedru no ense ye poto kakra sabre ye baba bebo ne tofa awo ye santi kasem eni etwi kasem mo amowo isrem mo amowo voter mo amowo sehwi mo amowo ye kasa no ebia na santi kasa no monte ni yen I think say moko mokas ayi mo fidie no so a mo translate a ebetimi amamo ayede ati ase Yeah. Minko. Good. Say tofa me ba be bono. Efa ye brother. Ya die nyina yewra Mr. Charles Kojo Fosuah. Dodo na friend Daddy Lumba. Ne won sensem ya na yaba betena ha yedi hu abobo. Na de edi kan ye chia Ghana mampanyini yewra John Dramani Mahama ana Attorney General na ya chia ye nana opimsio na nana osetutu otosu mienu nana we de me modi wi me mami muso otosu mienu ye nana no mo matwa asantima hu ahia ye nuanom ene media mahia mu ene ha ene de ye kasa gina ne se ya de nyina yewra Charles Kojo Fosuah Daddy Lumba dodo na frɛ no Daddy Lumba no ɔhyɛ na brabo ase no okopie mu wɔ amanone Germany abonten so de edi kan odika kɔ Holland na moamani tua ye abrochire nkratasɛm ne abrochire nkomodi enti BBC ema yenua bema no esa ba ne nchi na nyame nchade ne ho kani a oye ne ho ade ema na busua ewo asante bom so hanom esi 1991 eno wa betimi ni twi na de kɔ afe apem ahankono aduokono baako mo one ne ho kani ka bomu no ewo akan ana yen amamre mu no omutu kwan oba no ebefa niwra de ne koi ti said ya midi ka say yewra kɔ Holland no bibi nti osaba na chi na enumu na nyame ncha de ni yenua ba Akosua Serwaa Fosuah nyame ya na dom a won de abrochire nkomo onyane nkrata enti otimi de befa ne ho kani Charles Kojo Fosuah de koka ne ho ewo Germany ewa na omogbo omobra ana omode wo omoba odikan omoba na odikan no ye friend Calvin na ehwa susu na nu odi ni dwuma oye ne nwom busumi nsia na waba Ghana nsoso busumi nsia na waba ba be promoti ana se waba ba be promoti ne nwom a wadi hu dwuma no enumu ano ne ho kani maame Akosua Serwaa afibia omukọ na omaba ne ma ewomua na yebra Charles Kojo Fosuah eba bedru Ghana no na ewo se ohye na pomuden na pomuden no ema otu anamon ne ho kani ni kan se opese oba Ghana na obeye 1 or 2 bi na osa sign na chi yeden ekọ nanso ya brother ni bedru ye no eho no ma ne ho kani enyanti ye se wono de wonje eho adokotafo no eni enti nko obepese obetena ni krom na omahwe na pomuden na yeden amano oba wodoni kunu ose mira de waka no masunmu amatenejo na yenya bema Charles Kojo Fosuah ebedru Ghana wose ohwe na pomuden no sebi ono ane nsem kaye ne ye kakra bi a oye enti wantimi ankoka ne ho kani ho ewo amanone nanso no omudi nkomo na omoye ntotoye bibi ese fata se okunu no oyiriye bia na omoye den omoye edidimu a na yenua Charles Kojo Fosuah ekoba ise afedi wontimi enko nachi obekokra wokọ a enche no asasa nachi na enum nso ana oba betena oman Ghana mu no na emfie mienu bia efri 2011 eba bia no ne yire a ye ne ho kani maame Akosua Serwaa Fosuah efie mienu bia na oba ebehwe niwra ewo oman mu from 2011 eba besi na oba bia nso a na oba beto yenua ba eya Priscilla Ofori a dodo na afra no odobroni na oba beto na nya se eye ne kra ana oba beto no na eye se niwra ma na so ate se oba yi na suso ni mu nkakra ye den ewo fie eno wo de kobrofo a na omo ka ni maid ameme ka no asante kasem nti won na suso ni mu nkakra na mse osuso ni mu nkakra no na omo de awo nso aye den aka ho na ye man yi mu de unu obi tena busumi nsia ekọ afekura eya na dodo na ono oba no kra te o se meyere nanso amamra ni amane ekwan so no na enye aware didimu ana yenua ba no ede wo emu miensa si yehwa ya maame Akosua Serwaa nyanti yese Mira Charles Kojo Fosuah mate se abaya na woni ni wo fie wona menimu se osuso wumu kakra no one na wo baako mienu miensa ema yaya bra Charles Kojo Fosuah se medofo pa ma de nyina se wa wo ye odo bibi sa nyeden eni ho ema wa ni tia oman ya yatim wasem ba wajia ne de ye nyeden ye ni na wasem ba de a ye beka obi sheda twamfoni de tira ye nua ba ma no ema ye nua ba Akosua Serwaa enua panyin ana ni nua panyin no edi mfoni ni ma ye nua Akosua Serwaa ode ma na entempamu na no sa de ma ni wura se mira asama manugusu amaka no we nsoso eye den sabita frache yen nyina ya te yehu bi yen asa time ne de yehu bie yehu se yen nua Charles Kojo Fosuah na okoye dwumadie bi wo amanone eye lande enu nti wa hweso anko ode ko ne yire wo be ma asem kese se yasie ewo se okọ na okọjojo ne ho kani no akoma to okoi wone ne kokasai na sade be ya oman no atesem bigidi yesa yen nyina ye ne afia edu 2014 every 2015 urban na ewomu ayese yen nua Charles Kojo Fosuah opema enti eno kranti wode bebo ma se onde e wo sori a o chene dem enso yese won na ma woye dem oye ma asem yen nyina ye awe enuti yen nua Charles Kojo Fosuah ba oman Ghana mu no obai woni yen nua ba ma aye media fo ya bi Andidosti ebedi enkitaho ema yen nyina ye te se oka se at that time no ne ma wawo because na kasa na ekọ abontene ne doso na yen nyina ye nim se ye bra Charles Kojo Fosuah nya ne nsem nyina no ka no abontene etisi opie na so obekasa pe na jese asa bronya ye den asi enu nti oba abontene beyi ano at that time 2014 to 2014 to 2015 oba beyi nano se ono Charles Kojo Fosuah ne ma eye enum okay oba beyi ano se ne ma eye enum at that time no na ababa wa your friend Priscilla Ofori na wo fie wa wo baako wo mienu wo miensa nanso abra na yenua Charles Kojo Fosu na asem ewo yenua and Dusty ho no wankase wo enwoche because na ye bra Charles Kojo Fosu ni ye maame Akosua Serwaa awo miensa ana wawo baako ewo nchen eye ono anadamfo na yenua Akosua Serwaa damfo ano ne nete maame Georgina ba ana Denise nsoso eye baby ane yewra Charles Kojo Fosu ete ewo Achimota obabi a ohia ne ho ebo short baako nti at that time na emana ye enum na sanke de yenua ba Priscilla Ofori emano ka saa enum ne ho a na nke be ye nwotwe nanso yenua ne tena afidi kese so ene and Dusty kan say ne ma eye enum because say yenua and Dusty nim say atesem ne emma ebi wa akire ni nti o hyereda sa pusu no ka kire ne say na bra wawia na no se o obehwa ahwe so di num besa ka enum na wo ye den owo ne ho a ema wo mu nyina ye den ebo esre enti enum ani ye didi ya nyame ncha de I think say yenua Charles Kojo Fosu ne ho bedodo ne kakra na anche ne ho dodo no akra ba bontene beka say onyare nru emfie mienu or say less than 2 years ano yare nti yeso ye de ba sante kasa mu anacha se bia afi ba ko ne bosumi nsia bosumi ba ko bosumi miensa bosumi nso enye mfie mienu enti sabre ni mu no ne ho to no anche no ne yenua yade nyina eye great ampon enso ye enwom omo hihye ye which is 2016 omo de be ye Ozana omo de didi mu de be ye MPP fo nwom ni nyina na yenua Charles Kojo Fosu na ne ho odin ye wetimi ko ba bia odi ni dwuma se ne wo se odi pepepe na ne ho ndodo no se oda ho no ma sabi o waye ohaw ana tete ama abusua ana waye ohaw ana tete ama oman no ana waye ohaw ana tete ama obi na otimi ko eba eye de wo se oye bia enum a na yenua Charles Kojo Fosu edidi mu a edibesi 2025 Mijidi yese 23rd June eye bra one ne ho kani Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu ekasa ya etwato na omutimi omudi omonkomo by 23rd June 2025 ene eda etwato a ye maame Akosua Serwaa ene niwra Charles Kojo Fosu ekasa ye abra na ne ba otoso mienu edi na woda no wa wani tua meme de enra na ye meka akire awoda me frɛ o maame ewa amanone ma ye den bidi nkomo bompa ye ma me ba saa na migidi ye sɛ ye bra Charles Kojo Fosu eye ma ne ba otoso mienu one maame Akosua Serwaa ye den ewo ye enu nti no efiri o de ye betia ne sɛ yenua Charles Kojo Fosu oda ya wan sorry asem we de na eden na one ho akoka ye didimu ana abusua ebehia ye eye yewra Kofi Owusu we abusua panyima eko abusua ni nyina ema yedi na wocheda na after na wocheda no ena koba ise eye ne dan se ye maame Akosua Serwaa edi ba enkrata so kra na jese wadi afofi na jese wadi bem se obeba so se oye oyere na sabita frache awariamu ye wo mu miensa ewo oman yi mu ye wo yamamre aware, which is traditional marriage. Dodo na friend of customary marriage. And war ordinance. Enkrata enso so de. And war Muslimif also edie ewo ha. Na aware animu no de yenim ewo omra animu se wo ware amamra de no na se wamfa ordinance na nkanwa wa ware no ehye bema ne se otimi ware bebre otimi ware bi kan na bra wo be ware in ordinance no etwa se wo ware ba kopɛ untimi mfa obi nyeden enkan ho ye bra Charles Fosuah ene ye maame Akosua Serwaa abra mu kopie mu o court no ye nyante ye se 2004 ana ye bra Charles Fosuah ni ye maame Akosua Serwaa eware wo eye nkrata mu a ye friend ordinance marriage ewo amanone Germany omo ware ye no na etwa se ye bra Charles Fosuah wa ye bra ontimi mfa oba bia nyeden enka ne ho enunti one ne yire Akosua Serwaa ene ehwibom ebo mo brabo ehunu sane nyankopon de omo be den ebesie ba ye kopie mu court no ye nyanti ese eye ababa Priscilla Ofori ye ma meka ne wasem mre bi atwa mu se one ni wura ehyewo ewo no ono ba se ono so ye oyire na court ma ye hunu se court nsem kan ya ye ko ye nyina no ye ma me Akosua Serwaa ede ne nkrata kire se oye oyire ede bra ebe kire court esense court ebenya bre na wo ma hwehwem ahunu se nkrata na ye ma me Akosua Serwaa de ba ye no eye papa ana enya papa no court enya mre anhwehwem de court ye ya ne se nkrata ye ma me ne de ba ye no enya krata papa na sabita frache yen krata ye bayira ni kontomra ye de nwo ekra so nchen yen ye kro ye gitumu se edimu ye tukwa ade ko ba bia ehofo no ehye ketene se ombehwem ahunu se sankrata ne edimu ana enimu etu omu wa na montuo bia omutu a omde behwehwem se Ghana yen krata ya ware yen krata no omuba behwehwem ma ye hunu se edimu ba ne sen ana German dia ye de ba Ghana no Ghana ye court epeso kire se enimu abranso a German fo so edi aba se omun krata na edimu etini enim se court bema bre ama impo German fo aso ye wo oman Ghana mu ombeyi obi ama na ba behwe ama na hu se eye papa ni bi ana se eye boni ni bi bibi sansi wo court ebiam adansidi e course wo court dan mu ho efri yewra o panyini Kofi Owusu nkrata wo de ba se ye nuaba ma Fosuah eware ye nuaba Priscilla Ofori no ni nyina na ye awurasem because ye ma expert share no na chese ye kan se photo shoot ana omde ba court na no ana AI ni nyina mu no court se enumom na ese efata empo wona ye nyina ye wo man we ma ye nim se si ye awade a empo private one eye dan ya obenya abusiani ba ku mienu miensa bi eye dan ewo ho enso ye nya Charles Fosuah ni ye nya ba Priscilla Ofori aware omu ko ye bia wu omu nyina wu ana wo so omu wu ye ni nyina ebie odi owu di otwato eye 1989 ana di otwato ewu ye nanso ye nya ba Priscilla Ofori osi aware no 2010 2010 no me say sisu biemu a eye ye nya ba ma Charles Fosuah eni ye nya ba Priscilla Ofori aware no ewo court dem won osi aware no 2010 na minim say ye man ya yetimu obia koye aware a anya hwe se omma na busua ni nyina akora nko ma busua ba ku mienu miensa bi yadan ekoja no we so de yenya Charles Kojo Fosuah ni Priscilla de ne de wo mu a omu free Charles Kojo Fosuah busua ni mu nyina awu ewo court dem ho sem kanye ba won se omu nyina awu omu so omu nyina awu no de wo twatu a wo wu ye twatu okra wu 1998 meanwhile so yenya ba ne se ye ware no eye 2010 saafo ni nyina eba ware ni bi nipa kra wodi orisagu ye busua panyina asum no ono wo wu 1988 satan kra ni enya Charles Kojo Fosuah enye na adwene se ode nwomo eba abontere ama obi ayeden atibi sansam we nyina court se eno eyeden edimu ebiam abrantia oba court a wo se ono de oba aware ni bi na ono oware yenya Priscilla Ofori enya ba panyini ono na oba bedi adanse agitumu wo court dem wo se ampa yenya Charles Kojo Fosuah ka kire ni se owo yire a wo Germany nanso ntawantawa kakra bi na yede ewo ho eno nkire se obetimi agya saa no yire abeware eye ne yire ketwa no nanso ni nyina chi no omubu nyiegu omasum ema aware ne koi according to eye oberima obedi adanse ema yenyaba Priscilla Ofori dodo freno odo broni na we nyina course no court wono ma yagitu mu se eye nkrata ye ma mede ba ye a edi mu se oye oba awarefo no court se enye nkrata papa ntino yenya Priscilla Ofori eni ye maame Akosua Serwaa enyina eye yire enti san komo ya me born tofa wo court damu eni nkomo a mi di etwato efa judge ni judgment o de baaye no entri asum yeti ase a enyeye esanse oman no ewo mra yedibu yeman enya saa ensensem we ene bema yemra no ayeden asesa eti yesre omanpanyini yesre attorney general yesre mu a mokabia ewom ye nananom mpanimfo Ghana man mu a mokabia eyeye se asema yedidi ye nua maame Akosua Serwaa Fosuah no yadwiri hu a enyeye yeti ase a enyeye se yakase emra no enyese ya mijidi yese oyene ene beba omani eti samu behwa esanse saa atanchia no eba ye no ama yemma ya ni bi ana emma na sabi bema nkohu wo mo ekohu abusua no a wo mo sai aware no sese o mate atesi baabi a o mbefa bia o ma yese somno ana o mo yeden o mo tale nkofo ekunu eti yesre sanso ne ye brother Kojo Fosuah efri mu no onyia ni mpon ni nyia wodi nachi enya ni maami nyia bawo enya ni papa nyia bawo eye ni nyia woni ni free yafunkrom eye den ebaye ye maami Akosua Brempoma aye friend Ernestina Fosuah obaye osu opeso ohunu ade a eku ni nyia no sabi oni ni nyia ne kasa ye enda toso miensa ana ni nyia no otin se wa ye den wa free ana ope se opeso ohunu ade a eku ni nyia no sabi obaye wa meye dede wo kejetia wa ma medina Kumasi adum an sepane wo se opeso ohunu ade a eku ni nyia no oman ni o mra wo etuotu anamo se obefa mra kwan so no de ehunu ade a eku ni nyia no ampa yeko Accra High Court emma otemuani a oteso eye Justice Emmanuel Kofi Diaba ena tena asem no so apa maame na asem odi kotu dwa atonasum ohun se oman ne de emra na echichire oman no etu ofamra kwan so eka se de dikan ya papa Kofi Owusu oncha se mba onko ya yi a na opeso ya no 13 December no de tosu biem o oman na ochemi ensase oni abusua ni nhia na omo enya ntotoye ene mma ni nyina na omo nya ye nua eye Akosua Fosuah enho ayie na mfa asumdwe nya dan emra ebiem oyese funeral home ma omo emma kwanfa eye amu no emma abusua panyin nkoye ayie onte se asumdwe aye dan ato kasa nyamu no eni don shiri mienu de yati ya ne se oman no temu ani no asa abetena se ansa na abusuafo no ebenya kwanya akoye hwehwemu a yade ku ye nua Akosua Fosuah no gise omo di sika eya pepepepepepepepe 20,000 2 million Ghana cedis 20 billion sa sika no mijini yese ya ton Ghana bisia ya kwaje kwa na ya na ebi nnu yenya mfammo oman ne ho brenti ya kɔ ho bisia bo ewa amanone na ya dan na okate timamuni ba ko se onu nkofa sa sika ne mra se de ka na ye beja bisia bo na ke ye de toto ye ya so ni ye ya rezi sika ni ye de abu ye man anunti ye ma me ni ye nua Akosua Fosuah abusua na anya sa sika ni ntino ma ekwan se ewo se abusua no ye den ekoye omayi ampanyampa ni ampa ye nyina yati omayi mu so eye soloku funeral ekoso wo eye Kumasi Sports Stadium eniamo wonsam funeral ye Kumasi Sports Stadium na mo ye nua Akosua Fosuah eni na busua bani Kofi Owusu de record o ma set wo program empo etemwo for kra ni yade omugu ni yade da wo mo aye hwe wo mani ni ekosie wo mo ni entwe wo mani na su ye nua Akosua Fosuah de obia no o mani mu a including abusua bani Kofi Owusu nkura etini ahu ni de hye nani asemwe asebsebe wawa emu oyram emu oya besi na me ne mo kasai ya ma me Akosua Brempoma edi hu ya ose besi no ohun ni nya da bia na soso ne dae enro ya ejami me ne kasai ose abri bia ni nya ni gina ne so nanso oya den ekoka because no nim say oman ye de mra ema echichire oman no eti wo famra kwan so na ko dia eden amu ni nua no no aye de se efata when yesre ye nananom we dia me so me nananom kotodu anim nana pa akoso hene me so eye nana enkoso hene besi na atiame hene fuoso wo mechia esre se ye nana otufo we dia wo hye kodo yesre o faunesi fo na de ko ni cheye yesi achia na so ye emuri ai cheye na so na o ma nsaso na o nesi fo ma bibia be din we dia yesre na osetu na ye bohudi a ye wukura ni asori kodo abusua na ntem ko bu bohudi ma kodo sori na we dia yesre wadawro Oma ya di ensabu ya ensayem ya chapa nyina ne se na fawo na sifo ekwa bia wose ye faso na ye wuye nia Akosua Fosuah na yesie no ma asundwe eba no mesre menhia na chiame hinefo Nana Pakoso hene, Nana Nsuta hene, Nana Ekuo, Nana Sechere, Misre Nana Munina, Sir, Munkabi Mae, Nia Wuru, Yenya Tasquadio Fosuah, Nia Adia se efata enfamano. Na Ghana di hu yaw. Na se Ghana dodo na nim se yakan ya no atum. Ba mi gidi ye se yankan ya no ntum. Ye ma ye homene so. Ye nuanu ma ne mema mo wo amanone. Mu nyina mo ni tua bi. Mo a mo hwe ye free baabi bebre. Mu nyina mo hwe bi. Ekwan ya ye di ye ma mi Akosua Serwaa afaso no. Entwaye. Yesra sese nyame ya adoma enche ye ko appeal ya disrede yesre appeal court judges ne se ye ma ye Akosua Serwaa Fosuah asem omo pepe ye enye adwuma se ebro bi gidi ye se ebro so ho na certificate no ye twem ye hu se enye bosrebuka certificate ene de bai ye mo pepe ye enedi na nye sa yetie noa na enkoanum abefa adehye ama adehye aba be ye nkoa mede manusie meda minyanu a mubeja mi nyina se abusua meda eya social media TikTok handles no eya obatiwa Dream Powerhouse yenua ba Queen Emma team legal wise for na mi bubo omudi yenua ba one family mi amitie Nana Gomez Guda ana Yesu ba abusia mo support team legal wives Kwaku Christo Night Wage Akua Sika the great Agnes Vic ana abena papa bi ana Nashmi jumedia ye die nyina Nashmi ne ya papa Joseph Serwaa opanyini Serwaa mu nyina nyame hyamo ene opepa ene odo mudi adi ya maame Akosua Serwaa achi micheche obi bia ya maame Asantewa maame nyako Toronto usoye mu maame Agnes Vic usoye mu lawyer Otin abusiani nyina mo support yen Nashmin Adia Joseph Rakia Mother obi bia and baby ye kan say nyame nhyiram na onyamo kese media no so yadamase obi bia oba ye maame eye Ekuo abusua na afia kobi nso nyame nhyiram na before manu besi no ye maame ene nana ede o manu di sem kakra bi betu dwa na o madamase ba me de madamase ebi nyame nhyiram amen. That was the place. Afia Kobi. Daddy Lumba, sister. Ni maame eti abushafo Daddy Lumba maame Afia Kobi. Enso epeso kasa. Na Afia Kobi epeso kasa.
Me penny for Monsieur Miano, Mima, the young pony dams. So, me, I make us a friend and if you maybe can't say my dear Bakusa, young Pupon, Shram, or the palm we actually have seen. Umusa was a penny, a diablo, and was a cassia my pa. Metia mi who be done and telling penny some would say, will be a woman I am from Pepone. Ye brepow, would done up a good house. Ye best Ram say, will be a one go to Denma or Mompire my equation. As some die so far. It be obedient to me kind of pair at the tray, Obia Casse, Obia Casse. Then so Akosua Brimpoma. Any yakuma, yasso, papabi. Yen yadun say, ye dear Pacos of 40. If a janetry da. Ye tie no cranachi. Asama abam, and yasam kitu. A beware any jam, a bisu a yaw. Na ye dear, yet in a cranquana, cassa. It's ye, Nini wanda the crowds, and none so or door, and a pepper yenti, and a medjaya, my babetin. Mumpa Sabio, Miss Rebecca, so when you yampo, show a drama ye at the achre. Said the modu of Rabodum. Yes, ye Ketuarism, yes, ye de or door ebe bomudum. No que bia, ye be who could do from bia, medical sre. Miami ba. O 2-4. O mamma say. Semi go dia. Miss sorry nana. O ba na if ya papusi ni o ma wa di now. O mamma say. And I mean to him now, and I wish many crowd to say. They were young, and I was a man saying, nah, baby, a penny would be a woman. No, said to yes, catchy. Miss Row, we are more watching. The more ya. Send the brothers and you would you baby or da. Why this year so now wanting and Miss Rebecca. And I saw a good no, we are more. And about so. Mini Abema. My dear, Papa, what I yes, so. The young police slow, Nana, take on what? Ministers won't make a winning meaning. Mess them with presidents. Can you be at a new city missing Campo? Ubedano also. Ubedano Duriha, Ubedano Duriha, as some add Jemai. Yes, Ramo. A fool could do on your quata. On your yarefo. Now, so she said, me be the me who be that. They are timid idea cutting him. It's because you're not Tiasin and I'm Sramo. It's in any my action shine. And I be a some way there be a no crack. Woman no crack nerdy. Woman no crack nerdy. Now, a frog you dobroni. Odobroni dear. We dear. Odobroni dear. We pray. Odobroni. So all my dear. Decide you way. I have fun to see ye. Odobroni. Oda no what asun timinna. Me dear masem nyina me ka kire on say. So many fair brand dear. You ready? Ekwan a fa so kwadwo ntimi ewu a ye hunu de ye ka. Okogina baabi a enam sikanti. Na mabu agu ye so. Nananum ekwan abusua. Ekwo se samapa odi a. Unchire mutumi. Esre mu bebre se. Mumwayo muda na mubompa ya. Munkaye ne mu oya. Brimpoma entimi na mepiesie. Oda ontimi no. Ontimi na. Nanso na asem ne hwan. Hwan na beka bia ma no. Ebesre mu bebre. Ebesre mu se muhu ye mobbo. Ade ha ye no no. Nanso eyeda ya no kura bedadi. Eyeda ya no kura beba. Bibie no ontimi kata so nanso etimi pie obi na. Mami ana ficha wade nyina akodwu sanka wote asea asase no ensi da nti oba ta samampe esre wani die asem ya bei aje samun samanfo na mobabo na ye de anu nudu ana yesre mo momwa ye wate na de no kure de bia abontinsofo na ekoma yo obi a wonim ni babia na mo donti hwede ye maami Akosua Serwaa nanso nam tani ni se wo baga na kra no ontimi mma nanso hwe nsenkyere ne esiye nanso de akoma pawe ni odo we yata obachi ene mo na na achi a amani mo nyam wo aba ekuo na abusua mu a na siden mesire wo bebre se muhu ye mobo na ba bia no kura da bia kokoto ba bia no kura da biara ya mpanyifo nananom piesie ka akire asante hene ma de nyina mesere hu ye mobo wate na kabi maye sesi etu ye ni baby ekwadwo ni nsampo anase na basampo eda obi busa wa obekasa de wo a woto kra wunye nipa na okasa abusua na ade na moto na efunatimi asi na ensu nyina ya ade baako obi biara otasa asem hu bia de onyankopon na ade nyina ewo no ni musa ye bebre de na ensu no kre ebedadi inishi ya meka akire obi biara de aseda eni kabia na de da obi biara asem kwane ya hoden na modin bo a mo ye hu ni nyina monyere mo ho onyankopon beto nsupa aguma abrago edamase eye ni susu de ekosoroba eba fom ye be ye ya de kakra sa na ensi se ye ntimi nya kodwo ayese we nipa we de hye ti yesra nkwane ahoden eye de ya ebebe etimi damase bebre nyame shram next month
I abroad our Kasebia Yebetua Asedanoso. Why? I be
But you wait come on. In the first place, team legal wives and the husbands, they are sad about now you better dump the phone in answers. Now, yada media answers. Mona modern assembly call. She will get an mission. Now, Kakra, the person making an say, and yada you move here. You bet not now. Now, I say, Ghana Brano, no. Because I know it's a video, we are not my says, so we ain't now buy the money. If you say, oh, star, always a means, obey to be a Your shirt growing wet here. Me tell you, and I'll keep saying it. And yeah, you can't draw. My wedding be paying. Wedding the whole man. We are legally, you have no right to a chimney. Not to talk of somebody who wedding. Nay, say, no good out of temperament, yes, and legally in Ghana. I'm a here because temperament and I'm all good. About could be a master of him. The same you do a Yamu, typical wives and husbands. Ghana Marital say, you go court to him. Now, far, it's go court to him. I'm far, you go court to the Supreme Court. Because we want to test the law. Make you a woman. What should be also a woman? Say, I'm sure near Sam, you see the same. I didn't know. Nay, now I'm so because I could just say one can obey, I could just one can obey. I just saw born, no money, I don't protect us. Go and read Ghana law. Go come, me say, more lawyer be able to come and read that. Said you will be a number for. We have lawyers, we have classmates of real lawyers, and personally, young as your lawyers will come and see. Miss Yamo, a year in here. Say a po, yampo, abrotiasio, abro, that lumbe yeno, the wife I won't concern, or Tilasi, no Musuyebi. And the American Muntias and say, that lumbe ye, Muko ye, more about to release on ye, I feel about ye, Yatasa, or this is about the one ye, no offer. The late Paul Ekwekofi, or London. Yan fa ye ni ehun body da she tire appreciate ye obi okoli bi owo nsuom aye ehun body ya nye ye ye obi a car accident car share am body share ye ntimi aneda no ya nye ye said you obi wu ye ehun no aye nye ye no sa na da dolu man so wu ye ehun no enti won kwan say ye na ye wa wo hwame wa wo so wu da dolu ma si ya da no bi di mi tito e bi tifuru so wa wo so wu da dolu manim. No, I'm sure media from common said, what was you see another lumber? No, midimiti at the 2 hours sentiment. We are on any, but I'm in business. Yet now, I'm penning for being Sagan and Brano, Wabre and Membrano. We are wording now, who know Quansa with Timpana, and that's a fact. She best the media and say, dear today, I said, any other sign in the air. Why wouldn't you tell it to Mokopambi? Why wouldn't you call Mokopambi? You be ye no. Ye be me ye no so e fe ye we ye busofo etie I kan won simu se enye nko a dodo na o manone ebi mu ankan ebi mu obrekum wherever you find yourself as a team legal wife or husband no boss you sada no so na wo ye leader ji mpo a me ntu pande na be ye ni bi because we want to prove to the world that room be ye enye sada fo no mo ye no we are ready to do funeral for that lumba no solo coup party for that lumba. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
I wish I have more questions. Custody, Shanty Queen, guys,
the Obibia Swasi, Yaman Serwaa, Night Witch, Queen Emma, about you having power. Well, who Christo, Abna Papabi, yet I will be Pia as yet I will be Pia as yes, mother. Just a junior see a car. I dear that she Shanty Queen, Abna Papabi, his royal. Oh, Obio devoted woman to legal wife, Shataba, Obia, yet I will be Pia as Titupa, Queen Emma official, Queen, a radical shrub, Nash me, a good dear, the great, Her Majesty Obia Obuaye Emma Team Legal Wives and Husband Emma ye trimupo any peppery yo aye pese Embra Emma ye mami Akosua Serwaa Fosuah any the immediate family of Charles Fosuah Daddy Lumba Yada obi bia se Radin Shaw obi a akoto otin Sabato Jesse Edina Dawson Yamo dia Captain Caesar Erade Onshraw Jomana James Mom Obia Ashanti Queen Esroya Ekuya Prempe Obia o involving ho appear to Obia Yada Obia si Erade Onshraw obi bia yani so Mumre musika madaje mahu odene Father one Yada Obia's Brakojo Media Obia since day one a free court Monya ye mumaso ye mu Obia discount media and so eka Obia mama odi anya boakaye na na papa bi enipa ne joso omu nyina e contribute omu boa we so na we yaso omu na chichi na mu ema ye maami Akosua Serwaa na asama eye mobo na ye awerefo enipa ama ene Obia standing by her it's a radin show Obia all the team legal wives and husbands Obia or you involved Obia yes radin on shram we do appreciate every single thing Mwadaji musika dazi TV edina no mo deba ebi wa na ye refo fasro nipa Obia makoto papa bi Nashmi Obeti Wavin Powerhouse Chosen Yesuba Trouble Carlos Captain Caesar Kwaku Christo Abna Papa bi 9th week Mother Esroya Ashanti Queen Obia Eradin Shamunya Samson Wa Eradin Shra Obia Dazi TV Brakojo Meda Obi Bia Ase Yesi Nyamisha all the team legal wives and husband some of them will cry among Kwama who are doing Akosua trending Eradi on show mame daily cast Obia Trini Jonas Eradi show appears yes
no Obibia ya wish you a very important first time to Jonas about Ghana so baby must appreciate for training G's US, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Australia, Canada, Hamburg. Baby beer would be in Ghana. Mumbra Bijamie, near that Lumbe, Yeman, and the movie any day. There is Suluku Jamabi on board stadium. Also, one plan here, the other phone. I feel the plan here, and a Bremuno, Mamma Akosua Serwaa and say, Otinasi. If you want to read him, run their chambers. Damas.
Eradin shall be my Eradina Mokese. God bless you all. I love you so much. Nashmi, Akoto Papa with everyone, James Mon, Jomana, Otin, Agutie, Nanaya Sewaba, Zasedino mi Hunumpo, Eradin shall be T baby. Joseph Nanaya Obia Eradin Shamunina my 9th week. I love you, mother Obia Namisha. It's now next year. We a year son of Ebaso life and Collab. Send a mame Nana Efia Kobi Ampem Papebi. A ya papa Charles Fosuah Daddy Lumba ne mame. Osi ye wadi kami ati asie dada. A year Ebaso Greater Accra. On the 28th and 29th March next month, a year no Ebaso life. It's the Accra patch of venue no enter ye the bell or ye bema obia venue no. enche yebema obia ehu venue na yebeye no Accra eradisha ebeye a celebration of life. We are celebrating our daddy Lumba. Yes, celebrating, no, it's a celebration of life. It's a radisha will be there.
But as to the venue, we have the venue, but the mama we are aware, we have man as to venue, but date we are catching Sana, it's a Nadia Belsa. To me, and say, we have about 28 to 9 March, and you never saw the media demonstrating mine. So I want to say, and I just see the also, and the numbers of the from the say. God that was saying to you, he said that, and my, he and himself, and Nadia, but who sent to my say, a year, say a bro, say a bro, the best say, which tell you my life, I'm a knife, the better moon ass, the Masipaya, young umpire, so Thomas, young umpire. Brothers, Munkata, when you're one, I made it. Yeah, I was you, Kenyan Ponyaco, say, okay. Na wodi dwumadie e dia bewie papa ye be hyase de wodi na hyase empo ye free ye fie ba wona woje ye tataje ababa ye de be duru asundwe mu e wo Kumasi Stadium Hotel ye de dwumadie bewie ye ntimi fo ase de ndi ye kan se me aka bia no ye wo na wo fa mu ye kasa ye Ewurade ma wo pa nya ho se maami Akosua Serwaa ye wo pe se eyi be ye nkunimdi Ewurade kire wotumi wo ye bi pen ye nimso be ma na abroso nimpa omo try ekiri nimpa omo di yedi nimpa omo support nimpa waka omo akoma so omo mo mami mani nye ni kunu ye mani akoro we ko so ko omo akoma da bi the media fo isha wusa enye omo a kan sama ye kan goduro ekiri obi bia o blogger do mo radio station do mo TV station o de akoma pa ene odo enye didie e wo mami Akosua Serwaa mu peso obo ye twa Ghana mra mu yie no papa kasa ni pa ho Bono ban mono woni na mo nyansa na nyame ko ni bibia wi a ya beka se wo nyame na waye ye kofie o se de woni ye ba eja wadawo ma fe ko dura so die mu o do ma ni di mu ntino amen.